I am going to go over what I think is a very strong tip, and that is extracurricular activities. My personal opinion is starting out your freshman year, you should join a minimum of 2 clubs, one you're going to stay in, and one that you can try different things. By the time you're a senior, you should be up into some kind of leadership role so that you can put that on your scholarship application. So it shows continuity, 4 years, 1 club and membership, and then random other clubs as you're finding your way. A couple of points that I wanted to note. One is if you get a scholarship and you're invited to a banquet, make sure you go to the banquet and also send a thank you card, particularly memorial scholarships. They're giving from their heart and they really want to have a connection with the student. The Rotary Club, they want to know where you're at in 5 years from now. Sometimes they'll give you even more money if you reach out to them. So my recommendation, really strong recommendation, is someone offers to give you even $100. You let them know how much you appreciate it, and then maybe even follow up in the next couple of years, because you never know where their fundraising has come from and if they want to support a student even further. So my recommendation, thank you cards, attend the banquets. It is your responsibility to represent your school and the scholarship person by attending, and that helps the next kid coming up to also get a scholarship. Just one last tip, make sure you make relationships with your teachers all the way through. You need a minimum of 3 letters of recommendation. So I don't care if it's from a middle school teacher that you've stayed in contact with, an elementary school teacher, or teachers that you're in programs with. It is a lot easier for them to write a letter of rec if you've had more than 1 conversation and it's not about grades, right? So building relationships with people that you're going to need to write letters of recommendation for you is probably one of the top priorities that you can do no matter what grade level you're in. So that would be my recommendation, is try and have side conversations, like make some kind of connections with different teachers and really let them know that you appreciate them. And then when you ask them for a letter of recommendation, give them a brag sheet like what we have outlined in our profile. Everybody does. The other thing is, make sure you look at other schools' scholarships. Miss Van Vacter and I, we go to Martin Luther King in Moreno Valley, Riverside. We go all over the state looking for scholarships that apply to our students. And we try and update our page as often as we can. So we do as much as we can to look for them, but you guys are not held to just what your schools offered. Look at La Quinta's side if you're not from La Quinta. Look at Desert Hot Springs if you're from La Quinta. You know, look around, but go Beaumont, check some of these other schools that have them online. That's my tip for the how to find the scholarships, as well as Unigo and places like that.
One of the things that you need to do is any of the activities that you're involved in, you want to make sure that you keep track of things. You'll always think that, oh, I'll remember all of this, but you get there to your senior year and suddenly you don't remember all the things that you did when you were a freshman. So all of any kind of activities that you're involved in, you want to make sure that you keep track of that. Even things that you do that are not necessarily maybe school related, they're not one of your clubs or anything like that. If at home you're responsible for taking care of your siblings, you want to keep track of those things, because everybody is different. And those are things that either in scholarships, they will look at that. Even when you're applying for colleges, sometimes those are things that they look at. So anything that you're doing outside of school, you want to make sure that you write those things down and keep a record of that, because you never know what may be the thing that is going to, put you over the top when you're applying, when you are applying for scholarships. Just make sure that you, whatever school you're at, make sure that you go in, ask for help from your counseling department, for the person that's in your career center. That's what we're there for. We're there to help you. Please don't be afraid to go in and ask, because we're more than happy to help you. There's a lot of help available to you. So please access it.
I think one of the big parts is obviously your grades. And so on different ranges, you always want to make sure, one, if you're ever struggling on any of your classes, I always say when you're in that low B range, have those conversations, whether with your teachers, your professors, so that it never falls below, but also that you're getting that support to raise it up. For any student who might have really struggled with their grades, I never want you to feel like, oh, there's no way of turning back. I always say that your transcripts really do tell a story, and you get to navigate what that story looks like. So even if we had a really rough moment, let's look through, have conversations with your school counselors, go through what that process would be to help either correct some of those grades or to really help challenge yourself for that following year. So when you're telling your story about your transcript, make sure you're challenging yourself to the best of your abilities, that you're really diving into those conversations. And so that when you get to sign up for scholarships or get to write about your experience throughout your education, you can really define what that looks like, whether you struggled and you persevered, or you kept it constant and you continue to challenge yourself with one more harder class, or maybe in a subject that you never thought you'd be so passionate about, but you wanted to dive in. So yes, with grades, yes, with courses, but always ask if you ever need help. Utilize your counselors, definitely, and any like tutoring programs that your school might have. So I'm going to drop in the chat an example of what at La Quinta High School, what we have as a senior profile. We have all of our students apply for it, whether they're going on to 4-year, 2-year certificate program, military, just because it's always really important to have this information. It's basically a combination of your resume, your letters of rec, a little bit about yourself, how to write a personal statement. But on the site, you'll also see like example of a cover page, examples of resume, how to ask for a letter of recommendation, and how to, if for whatever reason you're struggling with your resume, maybe have a brag sheet where you highlight the greatness that is you. And so when you do some of that stuff, you'll be able to also highlight when you reach out for letters of rec, when you're talking to people. Remember, we talked about the importance of your grades and connecting with your teachers. Maybe you're a straight A student, maybe you're not struggling, but always connect with your teachers, because building that relationship will help them know who you are outside of the classroom to help you for that moment when you need that letter of recommendation as well. So definitely utilize that site, and you can always ask us any questions. I'll leave my email there if you have any specific questions about any of that part, but there's a lot of templates there that you can utilize, and that definitely helps in the future as well.
One of the things I want to talk about is actually applications. So when you apply for your scholarships, please make sure, because most of them are going to be online, that they're not asking for your credit score or information like that. They will ask for some financial information in regards to like if you have a job or what your parents may do for a living, because they're trying to assess your financial need, but they shouldn't be asking for anything too personal. Also, when you do your personal statements, make sure that they're obviously truthful, but make sure that the grammar is correct, and definitely do not exceed the maximum word limit that they ask for, because they sit down as a committee and they review these personal statements. And make sure that your writing's good. The way I liken it is to, if you're on Facebook and they say, well, apply to win this car, remember, you're applying to get a scholarship. You're applying to have someone help you with college. So you want to stand out. So just make sure you put the effort into your personal statements. You're going to get out of it what you put into it, and try not to fall into the trap of using the same personal statement for several scholarships, because sometimes on a scholarship committee, there'll be one person, they may be on another scholarship committee. So they might see that your application is being moved around a lot. So just be open and honest with your applications. One other thing that too is you're going to get invited to do a scholarship interview. So when you are invited to interview, just make sure that you're professional. And don't be afraid to speak up when they ask questions. And oftentimes, I find that they'll let you ask them questions. And any scholarship that you apply for, make sure you do your research to see if it's something that you want to be a part of, so that you don't waste the time of the interviewer. And my one other just real quick tip too is, once you do get that scholarship, or they do invite you to like a banquet or dinner, make sure you show up. Not only because it's the right thing to do, but also because that's how you'll get those details as to how you access your funds. Some scholarship committees will give the money directly to your school. Some will give them to your high school, and then your high school will give them to your college. So just make sure whatever you need to do to follow up on your scholarship, that you're proactive about doing so.